Wedding planning often feels like a whirlwind of emotions, decisions, and endless to-do lists. It's no secret that organizing a wedding can be a stressful and overwhelming process. However, in this episode of the True Love Knots podcast, she aims to shift the narrative and explore how wedding planning can transform into an exciting adventure with the right approach and mindset. Charley Isabella King will guide us through the ups and downs of wedding planning, offering valuable insights, problem-solving strategies, and inspiration to make your journey as smooth and enjoyable as possible. Join us as we celebrate the beauty of personalization, navigate challenges with grace, and embrace the joy of creating a wedding that truly reflects your love story.
Well, hello, everybody. Maria Romano here, True Love Knots, bringing you all things love and live from Las Vegas, as I say. So today I have a treat for you. I have this fabulous, fabulous woman who is my guest today. I'm girl crushing her. First of all, I'm loving her blonde hair. I think she's just adorable. And her accent. Okay, you can probably guess where she's from originally. Yeah, the UK. She's not an Aussie, she's from the UK, and that's what it is. Sometimes we Americans can't tell the difference. But I'm just so excited to have you here. First of all, say hi to Charley, everybody. Charley, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
This is exciting. So before we dive into what we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about her so you have a bit of background. And remember, even though we're speaking about events, we're speaking about weddings, anything we talk about is so applicable in your business world and your personal life, because this is all about love, right? Everything about love. Well, let me share with you a little bit about Charley. She is an international acclaimed boutique wedding and event planning company, creating bespoke, personal, and enduring memories. Her name is Charley Isabella King, originally from across the Atlantic in Buckinghamshire, England, and she began her career as an aspiring actress, singer, and dancer, aiming her sights on the grand stage. So with hard work and dedication, she made those dreams come true, becoming a successful West End and Broadway performer, starring in numerous shows, including Chicago, Broadway and film, The Producers, and many, many more. How exciting. Oh, my. After fulfilling her lifelong goal at an early age, Charley used the same passion and drive she had for theater and began to focus on a career in wedding and event planning. She trained with the industry's celebrated event producer and caterer, Pauline Parry, from Good Gracious Events. Pauline became a mentor to Charley, inspiring her dedication to design and detail, and opened up a whole new world to her, which she grabbed fiercely with both hands. She was ready to embark on her own journey, and then Charley founded Bluebell Events in 2010. So actually, Charley, you started in your industry when I became a wedding officiant. Now, let me share with you, Bluebell is a name that is really dear to her heart, and this is what I love about the name. It is a special nickname that her father called her ever since she was a little girl. To honor her father, who was living with Alzheimer's at that time, Charley chooses the name Bluebell, which was wonderfully fitting since the bluebell flower represents everlasting love and union. Gosh, that is so fitting, especially for the wedding and event industry. So she has prestigious awards, a nomination for Special Events Award on the A-list clientels, television appearances, weddings, parties, featured in numerous blogs and magazines, such as, oh my gosh, In Style Magazine, Inside Wedding Magazine, California Wedding Day, Destination I Do, Your Wedding Day, In Touch Magazine, and Style Me Pretty, Carrots and Cake, and Bride and Bloom, to name a few. She's also an IGT TV host, and which is called Bluebell Talks, a lifestyle show where she gets to interview amazing people from her worlds of theater, TV, movies, weddings, lifestyle, and coaches, lawyers, and more. She also has a YouTube channel. So you know what? She's a fearless leader. She's an incredible woman, and she's a problem solver. And boy, oh boy, if I was getting married, she would definitely be one of the people that I would call to help aid me. So in the meantime, everybody, I want to again welcome my dear digital internet friend now until I meet her in person, Charley again. So Charley, this is exciting. So
Hi.
So let me just share with everybody quickly. Charley and I met through David Tutera, and we're going to be talking about the experience in a little bit and what she's
Mhm.
going to be talking about. And David Tutera was on my podcast, and then he invited me to be an educator. And then, of course, she also had David on your Instagram channel, which brought you together. So, let's just fast forward. Tell me, what do you think about the power of the internet and bringing people together?
I mean, first of all, thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here today. I'm really from the Bronx. This is fake. No, I'm kidding.
The Bronx, Maria.
I fool people with my British accent, I mean, the power of the internet is amazing. And I never really realized the power of it until the pandemic happened. And when everything shut down, I had a wedding that weekend in March. And this lovely lady gave me this amazing advice. And she said to me, what are you going to do to stay connected to your friends, your people in your industry? What are you going to do? Because if you just don't do anything, you're going to lose the connections. People need help. You need to bring people together. Otherwise, you will never come back from this. God, what great advice. And so I thought, well, I could call people, I could email people. And then I thought, well, why don't I interview people and talk to my friends, my colleagues, and really get to know them? Because we don't really know people in depth, when we go to our networking meetings. And it just opened this door, and I got to learn all about my vendors and where they're from. And so many of them had different careers before they became a wedding vendor. Fascinating careers. And it really became this beautiful thing that happened during a pandemic. And so the internet is incredible. It's so powerful.
It is, and it definitely is a whole new world. And Chat GPT opening up.
Yes.
I know, being in the digital creator, it's powerful. Well,
Yeah.
let's back up. So you were on Broadway, you were in film. So share a little bit about that. And I see you, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Maybe you worked with her in Chicago, obviously.
Yes, we met when we were 16 in
Oh
my
my,
very first West End show.
she's adorable. I bet she's a beautiful lady.
She's beautiful inside and out. And that was my first West End show. And we were both in the back row of the chorus. But she had this star quality that was like, who is that girl? And so she went on for the lead role, and she just blew everyone away. And then they gave her the role, and then her career just like zoomed into the stratosphere, as it quite rightly should, because she's one of the most talented women I know, and one of my darling friends to this day. So yeah.
But you've been in the industry, so tell me.
Yeah.
One of the things is we always hear about, yes, you made it, you did it, you were in the industry for 20 plus years.
Yes.
Let's talk about something that's really important, and this happens in business, this happens in personal life. How did you deal with the rejection?
No, that's a really good question. Rejection is rife in that industry, right? You go to an audition, you've got blue eyes, we don't want blue eyes. You're 5'9", we don't want 5'9", we want 5'6". And so it just was not personal, because we could have all been great for the job, we just didn't look right. And so rejection, I kind of grew a thick skin. And when you're in a dressing room full of chorus girls, you have to build another thick skin on top of you. And so at a very early age of 16, I learned to stand up for myself and learn to be strong and take rejection and take no's. And I took a no as not as a negative. I took it as right, what can I do? What can I do to be better? Well, I can't change the color of my eyes, but what can I do to make myself stronger in singing or dancing or, anything within my business? And the transition from being in the theater to transition to doing events is it's like a seamless transition. It's so similar. And, we get rejections in this industry as well. You might not get a wedding that you wanted. You might not, so it really helped me in this industry with the rejections. And I don't like the word no. I always like to strive and be better. And it just really helped me enormously.
And I think that's important that we talk about that, because in the industry, no matter what you do and whatever platform you're on, whether you're in events, like I said, wedding, it doesn't matter. There's going to be times in your life when you take that rejection, and it's how you use that rejection. You
Yeah.
got two ways. You can either go take a big spoonful of ice cream and eat a whole gallon of ice cream, or like I said, you can turn around and say, you know what would I learn from this? And you're right. You're not going to be, if you're 5'9" and they want 5'6", that's kind of hard to shave 3 inches off you.
Nothing I can do about it,
But in that industry, because it is such an industry where you're dominated because of the physical, makes all the difference. But I do have to ask you, what I love is the way we've transitioned over the last couple of decades, where now, like when I went to take my granddaughter to see Frozen over at the Smith Center, we had a beautiful, I forget the name of the lead character in Frozen.
Yeah.
And she was Black. She was not white, which I loved. I loved that we did. And also people were not, some people had a little physical handicap. So what do you think about how it's changed?
I love that. And if you saw the Tony Awards a couple of weeks ago, which I mean, that's my Oscars, that's my, football, football Sunday. The diversity in musical theaters now is fantastic. There are girls that, they're not 115 pounds, and I think that's wonderful. And, an African-American playing a lead role that was played for, like, a Cinderella character. I think it's fantastic that they're doing that, it's about time, and it's wonderful to see.
And it's you're right. And it's just like when they now talk about makeup and filters and things like that. And I always talk about that because, when we were younger, there was definitely a larger focus on it. And today it's so nice to see that there is, as much as to be your authentic self, which we're going to get into.
Yes.
It's my segue.
Oh, very good segue. But yeah, it wasn't like that then in those days. We were weighed. They weighed us in the show.
Oh, I bet they did.
Literally.
Oh,
and so it was like you had to, and that you would never get away with that nowadays. Never.
Well,
never.
Is it because you had a partner? Like, is it for Dodger or something when they're picking you up? And
it's costumes. It's for costumes. Because if you put on an ounce of weight, they're not going to make you another costume. So
and they're expensive
really for that. Yeah. Because some of those dresses were like $10,000,
They didn't believe in elastic waists?
Yeah, no, they were like, no, lose weight. I'm like, okay.
That's so funny. But you know what? And I want to get into your talk in a minute, but you said that going from being an actress, a singer, a dancer, you seamlessly moved into this with the events, and you decided LA, right?
Yes, I moved to LA in 2000.
In 2000, and then you were married. You said
I was. Yes.
You're divorced now.
Yes, I have the best ex-husband in the world. We're very lucky and very close.
That is wonderful to hear, because I think that's so important to have good relationships with anybody that comes into your life, and never walk away with bad feelings, or with, where the closure was just like, that's it, chop head.
No, I can't imagine. I've never been like that. It's always, someone's in your life for 15 years. That's a long time, and you cherish that. I cherished it.
And that's wonderful. You have that. And it's interesting because I do speak about love, and there have been people that I come across, whether they've been with somebody a few months, a few years, sometimes when it ends, it doesn't end well. And it's not always, sometimes it's always one person that you need to learn how to articulate, which when you get to this age, we hope we can. But now let's get into events. So I've seen some of the pictures on your website, blown away. They're beautiful.
Thank you.
And you transitioned, of course, COVID, because you were doing events, basically wedding and large events, but now you're doing a myriad of everything, micro weddings. I'm looking at, I don't know if that's changed. So share a little bit about how, you've pivoted, but what your real love for this is about, this industry.
Well, my pivot was 2007, when I had finished my last show. It was a soap opera in New York, and I came back, and I wasn't married anymore, and I'm in a strange country, and I'm like, I have to survive. I have to reinvent myself. I have to take care of myself. And musical theater is not strong in Los Angeles. You can't really make a living doing it unless you're in a traveling show that's, going to tour. And so I figured that now is the time that I should start thinking about what am I going to do when I was going to be 40, and when I can't kick my legs up around my ears anymore. I need to start thinking. I was like 35 at the time, and it was too soon for me to stop dancing, but I thought this is going to be my transition now. So I stayed in LA, and I Googled wedding planners one day, and up popped this beautiful website, and I thought, oh, I'll call the girl, this GP events. I'm lovely, lovely Gianna. And I said, I think I want to be a wedding planner. And so I sent her my resume. She went, you're a singer, dancer, actress. What's going on? I went, I just think that it would be lovely. And so I talk about, and what I'm going to talk about it in my thing with David, is like when doors open for you and you manifest and you make things happen. She opened a door for me, and I went to shadow her at this bar mitzvah, and I was blown away, and I was like, this is like putting on a show. This is exactly what I know. I've been doing this for 25 years, except I wouldn't be the star of the show, you'd be the producer. And I was like, this could be really fun. And then all these doors kept opening up to me. The caterer at that event was Pauline Parry, who was my mentor, as you mentioned. And I went and shadowed her for 6 events. And then she said, come with me and I'll train you and I'll teach you everything you need to know. And I said yes again, the power of the word yes. And my grandmother always used to say, what's for you won't go by you. And I thought, well, I'm going to go for this. And she just opened up this world of design and parties. And I think the first party we did was in Vegas at Cater Sauce. And we were designing the opening night party, and we had girls in baths of syrup with Chinese wigs on with like Chinese food in their hair. And I was like, this is insanity. I love it. And I felt at home. And she's my mentor to this day. And I went out on my own in 2010, and my business just blossomed. And I talk about in my thing with David, in my piece, when we're in the Cayman Islands together, it's about what do you bring to the table? What I bring my musical theater, I bring my theatricality. So that's what I bring to my clients. And they either love that about me, my theatricality, or they don't. But people love that I know how to put on a show. I know how to do a flow, a beginning, a middle, an end, and take guests on a journey. And so that it's really super important that I think that we all bring our authentic selves to our clients, because that's who they're hiring.
And, I love the analogy that you use, but you're the producer. And really, when you think about it, you are the producer of whatever event you're heading up. So you have to make sure that everybody knows their part, and that they're good at what they do, right? The dress rehearsal part we talked about.
Yeah.
Have you ever had what have you done when you've had things that don't always go well? And how have you managed to overcome that? I call that recovering.
Is another important thing. When people hire an event planner, they're hiring someone who's really good at putting out fires. We're really good at like, okay, plan A is not going to work. There's a hurricane coming. Right. I did a wedding in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and, and it kept saying it's going to rain. It's going to rain. So you do plan B, get a tent. That's why they hire us, so that when things like that happen, you go, okay, this is what we're going to do. And the reason why they hire us as well is we surround ourselves with amazing vendors. So I can have a huddle of my vendors and go, okay, it's going to rain. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Here's what we're going to do. And they all go, great, got it, done. And it happens. That's the power of having a really good event planner on your team, so that you make things happen when things don't go to plan. Like I had a wedding a couple of weeks ago in Malibu, and you think June in Malibu, well, it was May actually, in May, Malibu is going to be great. I wake up at 5 a.m. because we have a 6 a.m. load in, and it's raining, and it's all outdoor. And I decided at this beautiful wedding, it's like a tree house in the tree. It's all wood. It's all beautiful. And for the design, I decided to white carpet everything, the outdoor, the pathways, everything in white carpet. Okay. We show up
right there. You hear this, everybody? Let's highlight this white carpet outside, raining. Okay,
raining. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? And everyone's looking at me like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, we are going to continue. It is not going to rain. We're going to carry on. We're going to put that white carpet down. We're going to cover it in plastic. And everybody take your shoes off. No, I didn't do that. But I was like, everybody just be very careful. So we put layers and layers of the plastic on, and it rained. And you'll see it's on my Instagram, you know, at the moment, like a time lapse of it. But just as the guests arrived, just as we were putting the plastic off the floor, the sun came out and it was magical. But from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., we were like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? I'm like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
You must have a pipeline to heaven because
I was like, God, this is one of our most beautiful weddings. Do not make it rain on this day. I want white carpet.
But you know what, that's, and in your bio I just read, it said you're a problem solver, and that's really what it's about. When you are in this particular industry, you know, you have to have options and you have to be flexible. And you're right. And that's something that I you know, I have a small segment in the wedding day, the ceremony, which is very important, very important. But the thing is yes, you have to plan, you know, is it outside, inside? Do you have sound? So I know what you're talking about in the sense, but I don't, to the extent that you go through. Oh my gosh, I'm in awe because I work around other wedding planners, and I think it's important. You're right, thinking on your feet and not getting anxious or showing.
No,
I think that's the key thing, and being calm, right?
Being calm and being flexible. You have to be flexible. You know, if something doesn't work on the day as you saw it in your head, as it is on the floor plan, you have to change it. And 9 times out of 10, the change is actually better. It happened at that event. I had the cake in a different place. And when I put my tables out, there was this gap and I couldn't fit the tables together. It didn't look great. And all of a sudden I thought, let's move the cake. So I put the cake table in the middle of the tables, and it happened to be right underneath a chandelier of all these flowers. And it was like perfection, you know. And so sometimes plan B works out better than plan A. But you just have to go with the flow and just be calm. You can't panic, because if you panic, everyone else around you panics. You know, you have to just keep it very calm. And that's how I run my weddings. I'm not a drama queen. I don't like dramatic drama brides. I'm very, very careful when I interview my brides to the kind of personalities that I take on, because I like to be very calm. I like it to be very beautiful and very peaceful. And so touch wood, I've been very lucky so far.
Right. And you're right, you want to be able to work well. You want it to be the right fit for you and for the couple. Like you said yesterday, I also was on her Instagram yesterday, everybody, and I hope you go back and listen to that. But it's a courtship. Like you said, you're with a year. I mean, sometimes that's during a wedding, maybe during another event. It doesn't take that long, but it's still a courtship, getting to know each other and understanding each other and liking each other. That is the key thing. You have to like.
It's a beautiful courtship.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I had a wedding planner ask me a question once. I was doing a workshop and she said, well, what do you do, you know, when the groom isn't really interested in the wedding planning? I said, well, you know what? You can try to bring them in. If they don't want to, don't force them, because they're there to please their partner. Could be bridegroom, whatever. And just right. Is that what you say usually? Because sometimes you might have now, although I think more couples, both of them are getting involved with planning. What do you find when you have that happen with one party's like, oh, really does not care?
Yeah, I try and find the thing that he is interested in, that makes him happy. Like at the very beginning, I'll say to him, what do you want to be involved in? Do you want to be involved in the food and the bar choices? And it is so I can gauge his excitement level on, you know, flowers. I know it's probably going to be a no, but some of my grooms love the flowers. So I like to engage them at the beginning of what their level of excitement and involvement is. And that's great. And then I'll bring them in when we're ready to try cake, or we're ready to go to a cake tasting. They'll be super excited. And then I go, great, see you on the wedding day, you know.
And you know what's great too is if you have a groom that's really into sports, they have all of these type of now games that you can bring into. You can bring them into the actual wedding afterwards. They have the toss for the basketball. They do a couple of different things, because I've been to those events here in Las Vegas. So there's always ways, I'm sure, to just, you know, hone them in, right? That's
Yeah. And, it's predominantly the bride's day to do all of the beauty and the design and everything. But I am very conscious when I first meet my couples, I like to dive in about them both and pull out of them things that are important to them so we can brand their wedding and make their wedding all about them. So I learned very early on, their personalities and how I'm going to do that.
and I love when you use the word brand. So let's take a moment and talk a little bit about the David Tutera experience, DTE. We're going to call that, everybody. That's the acronym. And he's been putting this on since I think 2017. He's been very successful, he and his husband, Joey. So you're talking about brand. Let's talk about the title of your talk.
Yes.
Why you've chosen this and you're comfortable with it, which is important.
Yes. Yeah, it's called I Am What I Am. And it's all about being authentic in the event industry. And so I talk about my life and my career and how I got to, because I've had 2 careers now in my life. Didn't think that I would have 2 careers, but I talk about how I got to where I am and how I use that now in my events industry now. And really about looking at yourselves, the attendees, what do you bring to the table? As I think I said earlier on, what is special to you that a client will go, oh, I want to work with her or him. I love that about her. I love that she, so that it's really all about being authentic in this industry, because that it shows in your events, right? We can all put on big, spectacular events, but if there's no authenticity in it, then it's just a spectacular event. You want the guests to come away feeling some emotion, feeling something from that wedding, maybe not realizing what it was, but knowing that they just experienced something that they have never experienced before at a wedding or an event.
I love that, because you're so right. When you bring when you actually take the authenticity into it, and not as the actual wedding, you're the producer. So what you're doing is, and the guest and the bride and groom, they are the actors. I mean, when you think about it, just putting this analogy together, and you're bringing out the best in them. And that's the key thing. And I think you're right, because when it comes to weddings, and you probably have seen this from start to finish, right? Starting from the day, maybe in the morning when the bride's preparing and her mom is with her, or her sister, and the tears start coming, right? That's the emotion. And you've actually helped, and you've made sure that they had little accompaniments there, or they had the right hair and makeup person. And then dad walks in, if their dad, whoever's, and that emotion right there. And walking down, the daughter or whoever down the aisle, it could be a partner, it doesn't matter. And everybody, then you see the love between the couple. Then the officiant is speaking, hopefully, the words of love, that you see people in the audience, right, that are now, oh, lovey. They might have had an argument with their partner, and you see it on the dance floor when you're bringing that to. I mean, it's a gift.
And you remind them when you're doing your ceremony,
absolutely,
you take people back to their wedding day.
Exactly. That's true. And people don't, or like I said, sometimes there could be something what you say has a life. And it can stay with them for the rest of their life. So I love when you talk about this, the authentic side. Oh, I have a hard time. But do you have any recommendations? I mean, there are people new maybe that are starting, they're thinking about this, because you know what? They all think of this as like watching the movie The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez. Great movie. But it's not that simple.
Not like that. God bless her, leaving the wedding halfway through. That never happened.
That one, and you have to be tired. And how do you what do you do to keep your energy level up? Let's first start with that. And then we'll get to the question.
On a wedding day, so doing 8 shows a week in the musical Cats which is the hardest dance show I've ever had to do, is a breeze compared to one wedding. I will wake up the day after a wedding, and I have the worst headache, and I feel physically, really physically sick the day after a wedding, because you take on, you're like the duck, everything is very calm on the surface, but inside all the cogs are going and all the wheels are going, but you don't show it. And on the day after a wedding, that's when I crash. And I think it's dehydration. I don't drink enough water because there's not enough time. You don't go to the bathroom enough because there's not enough time. And so energy, yeah, you have to keep your energy up on the wedding day. And I'm a good on the wedding day. It's just the day after I'm like, oh no.
Well, you're right. The standard that your training in your musical career and your acting career made all the difference so that you can handle that. And that's
Yeah.
yeah. So let's say somebody is thinking about getting involved because they think this is just a beautiful industry and it's just something, it's so simple. What advice would you give them to tap into? Is this really for them? Is this something that is important?
Yeah.
They can deliver to
Yeah.
couples. What would you say?
I mean, I know a lot of wedding planners that do their own wedding and then they go, oh, I can be a wedding planner, which is great, right? You planned your own wedding and you realize how hard it is. But then there's so much more that goes into when you have your own business. I always say, go and follow a professional wedding planner. Go and get in a kitchen, go to a catering company, go in the kitchen, see how the chef works, see how that's what Pauline did to me with Good Gracious. She threw me in the kitchen and I'm like, I don't want to be a caterer. And she's like, get in the kitchen, watch how the chefs work because they work the hardest of all of us. And you need to just really, be a part of that team. And it was the best thing best advice she ever gave me. And I think that all wedding planners should do that because it helps you do off-premise weddings and build a kitchen and understand menus and what does it take to do an off-premise kitchen? What do you need? How many spoons? How many forks? How many plates? That's so important. So I would definitely say that to a new young planner coming in. And it's hard work. It's 24/7. And I know everyone talks about boundaries in this industry. We lack boundaries, but for me, my phone is always on. That's just how I work. If a bride comes home from work and she's sitting down with her fiance at 8 o'clock at night, they're having dinner, they're excited, they're talking about their wedding, and I get a text, you betcha I'm going to answer them. Now, I know a lot of planners don't like that and won't do that, but I do because I just think that they're excited. They're talking about their wedding. And you ask me a question, I want to get back to you and say, yes, I can do that. Let me make a note. I'll get back to you tomorrow. It takes 2 seconds, right?
I love
They feel seen, they feel heard. I've acknowledged it. And in the morning, I'll get to them.
And that's that's the key ingredient in the hospitality industry. This is what it's about. People want to be acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be heard. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They want to be seen and heard. And that is the truth.
Yeah.
So
takes a second. And a lot of planners will disagree with me on that. But that's just how
but that's your authentic you.
Yeah, that's me. That comes from my heart.
Exactly. And I think that's what works for, you. And I understand that, and it takes time. And I see people that get involved in my industry, they're always so concerned about how they sound, how they look. And we start that way, but then when you really start enjoying your craft, like I do, it's not about me. It's about the couple.
Yeah.
And when you start putting yourself in the couple's shoes is what you've done because you spend time with them.
Yeah.
That makes everything run seamlessly and you enjoy what you're doing.
I do. I love it. I love it with all my heart. I never knew in a million years I'd be doing this, but it just grabbed me. And when Pauline let me get the first bride down the aisle, I got the goosies. I sobbed and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so emotional, but I love it.
You were hooked. You were hooked. That is the love. And I love that. Okay. So I have my question for you. My final question.
Yes.
That I always ask my guest, I've been doing recently, is what would you tell your 21 version of yourself today?
Oh my God.
What advice? I know it's
21. Wow.
Oh, I told her. It's okay.
It's a great age. I loved it. I was doing Cats at 21. And I was just about to get my big break into musicals, just about to get my first lead role. It was a brilliant time in my life. I would probably say, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I'd probably say that. And I would tell myself that some dreams come true, some don't come true. But you know what? You're going to be okay. It's all going to be okay.
I love that advice. I love that advice. And, you know, anybody listening, as we put this podcast out, it'll be on YouTube and all the different platforms. And I'm going to share all your links in case anybody's interested in getting to know Charley more. Maybe you want to use her services. So she doesn't just do events in California. She goes all over. So that's important to know. But, you know, I think that it's important to understand that on this journey that we're on together is this beautiful industry and enjoying what you do. And I love that you talk about being authentic. And that's the key thing. And it takes time, I think, in any industry to really fit and feel, break those shoes in to become authentic. And that's what I love about, you can see that you love doing what you like. I love doing what I do. But I know my lane. I stay in my lane the same way your lane is. So I love that. Now, as everybody knows, David Tutera has his event. It's in the Cayman Islands. It's going to be the 18th of September to the 20th. It's almost sold out. And there's only, I think, maybe just 100 people go. I don't know, maybe a little bit more. So it's very exclusive. And if anybody's interested, if not, follow him and his husband, Joey. They also have a course. And maybe you can't go this year, but maybe you want to be coached by them. And I think people think that they just do it. It's just for people in the event industry. It's getting, you know, growing, just like what we're talking about, finding your shoes, finding your legs, and finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Any parting words before we say goodbye to anything you want to say?
Well, thank you for having me. I hope that people will come to the DTE experience. Anybody can come in the industry. It's not just planners, it's florists, it's anybody. Come and learn and come in. I'm excited to sit with everybody and be with everybody and talk about the business and help each other, because I'm all about community over competition. And so if we can share nuggets with you that saves you, 2 years of like, oh, I wish I'd have known, you might share a nugget with us. And I love that we're going to be together and make this industry an amazing industry that it already is. But I just think the community, the tightness of being there together, it can only be an amazing thing.
Did you hear what Charley just said? Everybody highlight those last few sentences. We can share information. It's nuggets, because our long journey is your shortcut to getting there. And when you can tap into mentorship and she's willing to help you, you take advantage of it. In the meantime, everybody, stay healthy, happy, and safe. As I always say, spread love.